Alright, part 10, the neutral common cards. Yeah, first of all, the Argent Horse Rider. This card is very interesting to me because I think it's very comparable to Wolf Rider, and Wolf Rider sees play in Constructed. It's not overall better than Wolf Rider because sometimes when you're like Face Hunter or Aggro Paladin, you really want to push that one extra damage in. But the Divine Shield is pretty interesting. You can trade something immediately, or you can just buff this minion with something like Blessing of Kings, and then it's gonna be really tough to remove because you need to attack it 2 times. Yeah, so I think that's an interesting minion, especially for Aggro Paladin, maybe even for Face Hunter. We will see if it's truly better than Wolf Rider. Next card is Bone Guard Lieutenant. I'm not too excited about this card. I think it's alright from the design, but it's a little bit too weak for Constructed. In Arena it's okay, but also not truly overpowered. Captured Jormonger. Yeah, stats are alright, it's a beast, but nothing for Constructed. It's alright in Arena, that's it. Clockwork Knight. So yeah, this card is very similar to the upgraded Repair Board, which doesn't see play in Constructed at all. Kinda because Mech Priest isn't really a thing. But I also don't see the Clockwork Knight like really enter the Mech Shaman or the Mech Mage. Not too sure about that. The stats are okay. I think it's kinda a budget version. It's a budget version for your Lothep, or I don't know, for some 5/5 minion or some 5 mana minion for your Mech deck. Maybe it's a budget version for your Fel Reaver. Yeah, that's really a good point. Budget version for the Fel Reaver. If you don't have the Fel Reaver, you can really get this for 20 dust. That's quite alright. But for Constructed, it's not quite good enough. In Arena, yeah, 5/5 for 5 mana, it's alright. You get a small bonus if you have the max. It's okay. Yeah, Dragon and Hawk Rider, I think this card is bad. Wind Fury on 3/3, it's not that amazing. And 3 mana 3/3 is also pretty weak. Nothing special about this. It's also gonna be pretty bad in Arena. Next card is the Evil Heckler. Your mother was a Murloc. I love that. It's amazing, it's hilarious. I really like it. Pretty interesting. Life Coach said that Evil Heckler looks to him almost better than Sen'jin Shieldmaster. I disagree. The Sen'jin is almost all the time better because it's meant to be an anti-aggro card. And Evil Heckler is not anti-aggro. Evil Heckler is better when you're like fighting against a Stud Belcher, but that's about it. Very, very rare cases when you need to have the 5 attack, then the Evil Heckler is better. But there are so many 4-drops, and even something like Flame Cannon. I really didn't put all the cards here, just very few cards which came directly to my mind, which will destroy the Evil Heckler. And afterwards, will have some leftover value, like another weapon charge, or a 2-drop, or even 2 mana left over. And so the opponent will get lots of value by destroying your Evil Heckler with a similar costed card. And that is not possible with the Sen'jin Shieldmaster. Of course, the second charge of Deathbite can destroy the Sen'jin. Yeah, that's alright, but yeah. Then it's the second charge. So I think the Sen'jin is better than the Evil Heckler overall. So that means the Evil Heckler is too weak for Constructed. In Arena it's alright, but also nothing special. That's it. Yeah, Flame Juggler, that card is alright. Not good enough for Constructed. The Knife Juggler will always be preferred by most decks. And yeah, nothing too special about this card. Next card, Frigid Snowballed. I don't know, I don't see this card bringing too much value because spell damage, it's alright, but I mean, you have the Azure Drake, which is just 1 mana more and overall so much stronger. The 2/6 is kinda nice if you really need that spell damage, but the 2/6 fights so poorly on the board, so I think this card is too weak. Also in Arena it's pretty weak, in my opinion. Gadgetzan Jouster. Yeah, very interesting card, I like it. That's very similar to Zombie Chow, but you don't always get to have the 2/3. But it reveals minion from the opponent's deck. That's a really nice mechanic. I think Jousting is really nice because you get information from your opponent's deck. Of course, he gets also information from your deck, but then you already played a card in the first place, so that means he already has information from your deck. So you are just gaining a little bit from his deck. So sometimes you play against Mage and you reveal the Acolyte of Pain or the Alexstrasza, and then you will know, oh shit, it's Freeze Mage, or you will reveal Molten Giant, and then you will know, oh shit, it's Echo Mage. Something like that, you know, there are some decks which are really a little bit sneaky. Also sometimes when you are up against Warlock, you will reveal the Arcane Golem, and then you will be, okay, you're that kind of handlock. So jousting is pretty good, even if you don't win the joust, in my opinion. It's a very interesting concept. It doesn't give too much information away, and I wouldn't play it if I have some sneaky trick built in my deck. I wouldn't use the joust then, because then I give the information away. But when I'm playing like a really standard deck list, which is already like defined when I play 1 or 2 cards, then I would totally add some joust cards to get information from the opponent's deck. And I think this is really, it's overall a really budget version from the Zombie Chow. The Zombie Chow is kind of expensive to get because you need Nex Ramas, which is hard to get for new players who don't want to spend money. So I like this card. It's too weak for Constructed. It's, I guess, alright in Arena. And yeah, it's a budget version of Zombie Chow. Yeah, Ice Rager, sorry, this card is bad. Qualia Raider, yeah, that's kind of the neutral version of Floating Watcher. Floating Watcher doesn't see play, and it's also a demon, and it has much more possibilities to activate the sky, so I'm not too optimistic about the Qualia Raider. In Arena, though, it's very interesting because when the opponent doesn't have an immediate answer, it's pretty strong. And other classes have better ways to protect it. If you put this in Priest, he can heal it like all the time. Pretty nice. But for Constructed, it's a little bit too slow. Landsbearer, yeah, this card is a weak version, in my opinion, of the Abusive Sergeant. Even though the bonus is permanently, the Abusive Sergeant just brings more value to the field, because a 1/2 is nuts. It doesn't do anything. And if you don't have a minion on the field, you get a 1/2 for 2 mana. So that card is just too weak. Abusive Sergeant is just overall better. Lowly Squire, yeah, I think this card is alright. It's too weak for Constructed, but in Arena it's really alright. It's a nice card. Almost viable, but still like too weak for Constructed. Maiden of the Lake, I don't know. This card is not really interesting. The hero power is not really that interesting to me. Reducing the cost, I don't know. I don't really believe in the complete Inspire decks, which buff all the minions like wow with your hero power. I don't know. I really like the Thunderbluff Valiant, but I think you are good to go when your hero power costs 2 mana. That's it. So too weak for Constructed in Arena. In Arena you will especially not build that Inspire deck, so in Arena it's also pretty bad. Merciless Champion, yeah, that card is way too expensive, way too slow. It's nice if you get this card from your Wrangler, but yeah, that's it. It doesn't even buff itself. It's a beast, but it's way too expensive for 5 mana. It gets destroyed by a Frostbolt, or by a Knife Juggler, or by some other 2 mana cards. Just way too slow. Next card is North Sea Kraken. I really like this card. This is a budget version. If you're a new player and they're looking for some really big stuff like Ysera, you can just get your budget Ysera, the North Sea Kraken. It's alright. I am curious if this card would maybe see play in Constructed if it was like 8 mana. Because I think at 7 mana it would already be pretty overpowered, because 4 damage, that's kind of a huge deal. If you put it in a deck where you have multiple big game hunter targets, that's alright for 7 mana. So for 8 mana, I'm not too sure. Maybe, maybe not. For 9 mana, it's just too expensive for Constructed, but yeah. Interesting card. Very good for new players, I like it. But for Constructed, it's a little bit too weak. Pretty good in Arena though, I think. Next card is the Pit Fighter. The Pit Fighter is almost getting the cut to Constructed, but I think there are much better alternatives with pretty nice effects. This card it's just a pure body, and a pure body will not make it, because the Yeti also didn't make it to Constructed. Not anymore. It's a budget version. If you are looking for something like, I don't know, Lothab, or maybe even you don't have the Sludge Belcher, something like that. When you're missing like a regular 5-drop, you can use the Pit Fighter instead. It's pretty good stats, but really nothing for Constructed. In Arena, pretty good. Refreshment Vendor. Okay, I have a little bit hope for this card that it's going to be an anti-aggro thing. I like the idea, the stats are alright, the restore 4 health to each hero doesn't really matter when you're playing the control deck, so maybe some control decks will consider this card to use it as an anti-aggro weapon. Hopefully. Maybe I'm a little bit too optimistic here, but hopefully they will do it. It's also nice that it's throwing carrots. Yeah, that's just a one... that's just a 1 mana to 1 taunt. I don't know. Nothing. Tournament Medic. Some good players like Strive Crow stated that this card is pretty interesting. No, it's not, in my opinion. It's an absolute disaster. Because it's supposed to be anti-aggro, but it's not anti-aggro. And here's why. It doesn't trade against the aggro cards. It doesn't even kill the Huffer. So you have to send this card 2 times into the enemy's Huffer. So, wow. This card, at least it needs Taunt to be viable. But I think mostly it just needs a little bit more attack. I think it needs 3 attack, and then it's too strong on the other hand. So then, I don't know, you need to lower the health or something. The Inspire effect, I don't know, it's not really a thing to gain 2 health. Not really appealing to me. Also, I don't see what it's doing against control decks. Against control decks, they just shit on it because it's just dealing 1 damage and they don't care about the heal. And this card, it doesn't even kill a piloted Shredder. It doesn't kill it. It kills the Huffer, but it needs 2 turns to kill a Huffer. When I'm playing mid-range hunter or face hunter, I just ignore this card. Even if it is a priest, and the priest will restore 4 health every turn. It's after turn 4. It's doing nothing against aggro. It's too weak. It's only good when the aggro deck runs only Leper Gnome, only Abusive Sergeant, only, I don't know, Worgen Infiltrator, but then it's also kind of weak because you just kill one of these minions every turn. So, yeah, it's too weak, I'm sorry. Silent Knight, yeah, I don't know, this card is interesting. It's an alternative to Shade of Naxxramas, like a budget Shade of Naxxramas. You can combine it with Blessing of Kings to get some huge value. You can play this on turn 3, on turn 4, you buff it with Blessing of Kings, and then you trade into the enemy's 4-drop. That's kind of interesting, but I think for Constructed it's a little bit too weak. For Arena, yeah, I think in Arena it's an average card. It will be better when you have buffs like Wellens Chosen or Blessing of Kings. That's it. Not too interesting. Silverhand Regent, yeah. As a Paladin player, I'm optimistic about this card. You add this to your Token Paladin, a new type of deck. You combine this, of course, with Knife Juggler and with Quartermaster. So you play this on turn 2, you play your Shielded Minibot. On turn 3, you play your Silverhand Regent. And on turn 4, you play your Knife Juggler and you use your Hero Power. So you get the Inspire value and you get 2 Juggles. And the Shielded Minibot should usually deal more or less with the enemy's minions or removals. So, and then you have the Silverhand Regent, and it's pretty hard to right away deal with it. So, and later on, of course, you get a Quartermaster. So even if you play this like on turn 10 for 5 mana, it's alright, I think. It's not super overpowered, this card, but it's interesting, and I will try to build a deck with it. Maybe I'm too optimistic, but I think it's pretty interesting. Because, yeah, the effect is kind of huge. The Silverhand recruits are pretty nice in my opinion. I would not be too optimistic if it would just be a 1/1, then it's not interesting at all, but it's the Silverhand recruit. You can buff it with your Quartermaster and also with your Horse Rider. With your Warhorse Rider. No, Warhorse Trainer. That's the new card. I'm sorry, I'm still learning the new card names. Alright. So I think this will see play in Constructed. In Arena it's alright, not super OP in Arena because there you don't have the Quartermaster. That's it. Thanks for watching. Please leave questions and critics in the comments as always. And make sure to participate in the Grand Review Challenge before the forms are closing on Monday. Bye bye.